There we go. So I will share out the agenda for today. And I think I put it in the chat, but I'll put it in the chat again. So you should have access to, once I put it in the chat, if you haven't already, the agenda for this meeting, as well as the minutes from the previous meeting. So we have a October minutes, meeting minutes. So you have an opportunity to take a look at those. And what we won't do typically in the general body is vote on those minutes because they are there. But we also have the goals for this year. So please reflect and review those October minute meetings. And they also are posted. Bill does a wonderful job of posting the videos when I give them to him. So they're also posted on the website so you can see the notes from our meeting as well as seeing the meeting in real time. And then we have the goals for this year, which are by October 2023, we want to train and identify and provide support for at least 55% of members. So we would advocate for more inclusion and Maryland Blueprint career ladder legislation. And Holly can talk about that later in her report in terms of all the steps that are being taken towards meeting that goal. By June 2023, identify 2 ways to improve diversity of voice via gender, race, cultural, religion, sexual orientation, gender identification, geographic location, human abilities, and thought in MSCA programming. So being inclusive. And then increasing MSCA Association conference participation. Last year was around 250. So we want to increase it to about 400 participants by 2023. So we will have our president-elect report out. So we'll allow President-elect. So I'll turn it over to you.
All right, awesome. So I've already put my notes in the agenda. The first thing I'd like to share out is the final nomination tally. For this year, we had 22 school counselors nominated for the School Counselor of the Year award. And then there's the breakdown: 8 for elementary, 8 for middle school, 6 for high school. I logged in the portal last night. Of those 22, at least 10 have started the application. So the pickle every year is the nomination piece is a little bit more doable, but the application is pretty comprehensive. So sometimes that can be intimidating for folks. Thank you to Kathleen, who's here. And then Liz and Brian, which are our former school counselors of the year, they did an info session. That's one of the things that we offer to all of the nominees. It's about an hour where we kind of walk through the entire application process. We answer questions so people feel like they have some background and they're able to tackle. They've got a checklist on how to process the applications and the different parts of it. So hopefully that helps to encourage. So that is as far as the School Counselor of the Year nominee. As you know, our winner will then get pushed to, I guess, for lack of a better word, compete at the national level. And I'm hopeful that one day we will have a Maryland school counselor be the National School Counselor of the Year, because we do phenomenal work in Maryland. All right, as far as the other categories, we also provide awards in some additional categories, and you can see that on the agenda. We had 4 nominees for administrators. Of the 4 nominees, 2 completed the application by the deadline. Advocate of the Year, we had 2 nominees, and 1 completed the application by the deadline. For Counselor Educator of the Year, we had 0 nominees. Well, technically we had 1, but they're on the executive board, and our bylaws have guidelines regarding if you sit on the board, you're not able to be nominated for any of the awards. Our Grad Student of the Year, we had 1 nominee, but they did not complete the application by the deadline. And our Novice School Counselor of the Year, we had 1 nominee, and they did complete the application by the deadline. So that brings us to point B, which is the evaluation process. So I am currently compiling my list, reaching out to evaluators to make sure we've got a good variety of evaluators that will review the applications and be able to help us in selecting winners for each category. Item C is our recognition committee. We meet monthly. I'm always looking for folks to join us. It's not a lot of work. It's a 1 hour a month meeting. So our next meeting is actually this Tuesday because it falls the first Tuesday of every month. I would love to have folks, if you're able to give an hour of your time. It's helpful to have as many voices at the table. That's really critical, and that meets our mission as an organization. We always want to make sure we've got a good variety and that all voices are represented. And then finally, the recognition celebration this year, we are transitioning to do a different celebration rather than a gala. And we've talked about this in previous meetings, so you can reference our notes. We are folding the recognition celebration into the conference. And the committee, the majority vote, there were 3 options. The option is to fold the celebration into the Sunday night presidential reception, which is already on the schedule. They get to come to the reception and bring 1 guest free. And then anyone who is already registered for the conference can attend that event free. So it's not an additional cost. So this is how we are going to transition this year and try something new with our celebration of our winners when they are they'll be announced in February, the School Council of the Year, but then the other ones will be announced in the conference. Questions, comments, concerns?
No questions? This is a good time. Anyway, and general body members can ask questions too. So don't feel like you're like, this is your organization. We're just not just, but we're the representatives that represent your voice, but this is your organization. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have. And also if you want further details. So thank you, Maureen. Then especially I encourage you to attend the committees, because definitely this is where the work is done. So we're reporting out, but definitely if you have ideas, especially around the celebration or even around ways that we can encourage, because I know Maureen definitely wants, and whoever will be the president-elect next year wants to have a large number of applicants, and really trying to see how we can get, people to to move into these awesome awards and to be recognized. So if you have some creative ideas, feel free to, even if you can't make the meeting, to email and reach out to Maureen, and or even to me or to anybody on our board, and we'll be happy to facilitate that. Kathleen said, I think having the celebration at the conference is a fabulous idea. Wonderful. Great. This will be good. It'll be exciting. So if you come to the committee so we can help with planning ideas. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. Kathleen is like, I just said it was a great idea. So, but okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you. Our immediate past president, Laura, is not feeling well, but she wanted to say her report. The only report now for the nomination committee is yeah, I'm sorry, we're doing the same time. I'm gonna stop. Her report, so I'll let you do your job. I'm sorry, Allie. She reported that elections will begin, the election process, the nomination process will begin in January. So we are excited that we have a couple open positions. I don't know all off the top of my head, but I definitely know we have the president-elect is open. And so that is a significant year when that happens. And what that means is, and so I'll use this as a quick time to explain. So our process is you nominate and you run for, someone is nominated or runs for the position of president-elect. That person who serves as president-elect then becomes the president. They serve for 2 years as president. 2 years for president-elect, and then 2 years as president, and then 2 years as immediate past president. And all of those are official roles within our organization and our constitution and bylaw. The president-elect is in a training mode, or kind of learning or getting that experience as they then move into, so the whole idea is that the succession planning, so that when you move into the role of president, you are familiar slightly. I don't know if there's anything that really familiar, but you at least have some familiarity of the responsibilities. President is the role that you see, and then immediate past president, you serve as an advisor, still as an official capacity, because the president, immediate past president, you should know, is that if anything were to happen to the president, or the president decides to step down, it is the immediate past president who steps back into the role to serve as president of the organization. until a president is until. And so that is the role and responsibility for president-elect. So please, if you know anyone that is interested in thinking about it, the biggest part is that you have, leadership and interested. It would be nice if you've served on a committee. So you're a little bit familiar with the roles and responsibility, but you did not have to serve in an elected, one of our elected positions. So it's open. We're happy so that's a big one that's coming up. And then we have other positions. I don't know them off the top of my head, but Laura will begin to share all of that out in January. Any questions? I see a question in the chat. If someone is a committee chair, members, do they have to pay for the conference? We're not talking about the conference right now, Sharon. So that is not a decision that has been made. Well, everybody will be paying for the conference this year, everybody. But the conference committee hasn't formalized that, but we'll talk about that when we get to that, okay? To the conference committee report out. All right, but great question. And then the other question, website. Okay, great. So Ali said secretary and treasurer open and the website. Yes, website. Bill has been trying and secretary and Bill, correct me, is there a stipend? I know definitely for treasurer, there's a stipend for treasurer.
There's a stipend for treasurer, for website, and for membership.
Membership, yes. So those are stipend positions because particularly as treasurer, you are working quite a bit with reports. As a president, I am always talking to the treasurer, usually on text message, even this morning. So we're very frequently having conversations with the treasurer. As well as the website, I am constantly texting, emailing the website person. So it is a lot of responsibility. So it's a paid. All right. Any questions, any additional questions for the past president report? All right. We'll see none. We changed upon the recommendation from at the previous meeting, it was recommended to move the committee meetings up. So we kind of broke up a little bit the executive board. So we're out of order. If anybody does Robert rules, any sorority people, fraternity people, anything like that, we're out of order with Robert rules because Robert rules definitely has the elected persons doing their reports first and then committee. So don't get on us. We're trying to be inclusive. And so we'll try this out now. So we'll have our committee and regional reps report out, and then we'll come back to the remaining reports, with my report being the last report. Typically, my report's the very first, but being inclusive, I'll move to last. All right, so membership.
Okay, so do we want to do the membership drive raffle first? Do we want to actually go into the report and then end off with the drive?
It's your report, however you want to do it.
All right, let's do the report first, and then we'll end off on a positive. So it's all positive. So would you mind clicking on the link to the website membership report to the 12/3? Thank you. And start slideshow. Okay, so this is our website / membership report for this period. Can you go to the next slide? This is basically our website, our homepage, what it looks like. For the past 2 months, for November, our website hits have been about even from last year to this year. We're up about 500 hits in October from last year to this year, so that's a positive. We go on to the next slide. Okay, and as far as our actual past 90 days, our main page has been a homepage, obviously. Then our members only was a secondary, our contact page, the recorded MSCA webinars and online chats. We can go back and review the online chats and webinars we've had in the past. And then we have our new members section, upcoming webinars, shared resources page, and so on and so forth. So, but members only is always one of the top ones on our as far as our hits are concerned. You go on to the next slide. All right, so we have a relationship with Multiview, which is an advertising company. We have a section on our site that is actually advertising different colleges that Multiview takes care of everything. All we have to do is give them the link to put it into the site, and they advertise for us. Nikki, I did notice that we don't have your school on there again.
All right.
But everyone else is on. If you go to the next slide. And right now, this year, we in royalties. So we basically, they get most of the money. We get royalties. So for this year so far, we are at $5,815.99. Last year, we made $7,047.61. And then the previous years a little bit lower. So every year we seem to be going up a little bit. Based on the fact that this is now December, we'll might be a little lower than last year, but we'll see what happens when it all shakes out at the end. So still doing a great, still making us some money, which is good. That's okay. We go to the next slide. As far as membership, I'm excited about this. We are up to actually one more as of today. So we're up to 1,039 members. So I do believe the membership drive definitely had an effect. And I do believe the postcard that went out, that at the last meeting, we weren't sure, but I do believe it definitely had an effect this year. At our last meeting, we were at 978 members. Now we're at 1,039 members. So we have some lapsed members that will reach out to, some pending renewals, which is always the case. 12 new members in the past 30 days. But again, we had a lot of our new members during the membership drive. We actually had a last minute addition during the membership drive. Dorchester County paid for all their members again. So that definitely brought up our numbers. So about 21 members added on top of what we had already. And what we're seeing here at the bottom, that's the postcard that was sent out earlier in the year. Most people got it. I think a few people maybe did not get it. I think when we talked last time, a few people haven't gotten it yet. Al, you never got yours? Interesting. Okay.
And it was just sent to the schools, right? Or was it sent to?
It was sent to the schools, to their counselors. So that's how we had to do it. And we got that information from MSDE.
MSDA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. I mean, because I switched schools, but I'm curious to see if my previous school got it either.
That might be it. Because we pulled down that list. Caught me in the middle of my breakfast. I apologize. We pulled down that list. Was that in July? Bill?
Yeah. Yes. July, August. Marion, when was that? When did we send it out?
So we sent it out, yeah, I think like around August, but we had sent it before like kind of the new year's hirings would have been official. So yeah, definitely think that's probably
Right.
And I'm wondering when your school, Allie, reports. So the state, like that's the list that they have, but that may have been the list that they pulled from, like when they get a reporting from, because I'm sure they get a reporting from all the different counties at a certain time, like a certain deadline. So then I'm wondering if it is like, let's say they said, oh, everybody has to give me a report by June. And that was based on the June information that they got from MSDE.
Right.
And then they send that.
I wonder if in future years, maybe if we could wait to pull that report until August 1st, because I'm just concerned, would you have missed any of the new hires? Because their names probably wouldn't populate until August 1st.
I don't think that they had any updated information by August 1st. I think that they had the most updated information was last year's. So
Yeah.
And I don't think we said this out around the same time that we had the right before the membership drive, because we want to get this out so people can actually join during the membership drive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sure.
I am going to look out. We still have the Excel document. I'm going to curious. I'm going to look your name up and see where it pops up.
Yeah, I would be curious about that too.
Okay. All right, going on from there. So at this point, I'm going to actually share my screen so we could do so. Part of the membership drive is that we had anyone that was a member that renewed during the membership drive got their name put into a raffle that we're about to do. Fourth prize is going to be a $30 credit for the MSCA store. Third prize will be a year membership to MSCA. Second prize is a free year of membership to ASCA. First prize is free entry to this year's MSCA conference. And then the grand prize is, again, free entry to MSCA conference, including free hotel stay. Okay. So, Nikki, are you okay if I share my screen so I can do the raffle?
You have full access to share your screen.
Great. 1 second first, make sure I'm on the right page. There we go. Okay, can everyone see the screen? I'll go ahead and try to make it full screen. All right, so we're going to do our first. Hold on a second. We're going to do our first raffle, and this is for the $30 credit to a MSCA store. Anyone want to do a drum roll?
I'm muted and I'm like, "Drrrr." Is it me or is it moving slow?
Oh, Lauren Smith is our first.
Yeah.
Lauren Smith. I'm going to write that down. All right, remove her. All right, so our next will be for the 3-year membership to MSCA.
Hopefully we don't have more than one Lauren Smith. That's a very general name.
I was thinking that myself.
Well, it'll be the only Lauren Smith that renewed during that time period.
That's true.
Hopefully we only had one Lauren Smith for during that time. It's like John Doe.
I mean, I found the drum roll soundtrack, so let me know if you want to hear it.
Okay,
You ready?
wait for the next one. So this is for a second one, Alani Arrowwood.
Well, that's a good name.
Okay, I'll wait for the second one. Did you hear it?
Okay, move that person. All right, so the next one's going to be for a 3-year membership to ASCA. Now we're ready for the drum roll. I can't hear it.
Oh, okay, then
That's
never
okay.
mind.
All right, I'll just do this.
Yeah.
Sounded more like an earthquake.
Oh,
Oh, dear.
okay.
And Bill, that was for MSCA membership or ASCA?
That was 1 year of ASCA.
Awesome. Okay.
So far we have done the $30 credit goes to Miss Smith. And then we have the 3-year membership to MSCA goes to Miss Arrowwood. And then the 3-year of ASCA goes to Tia.
Wait, I may have to check on that one. We actually may have to do it again.
Okay,
Almost positive we have to do it again.
I think so
ASCA
too.
Yeah, well, because she's a board member, elected board member.
okay, gotcha. So we
Yeah.
need to, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. And I apologize. I didn't think to look for those for board members in the list.
Look at all those new members. How do you have time to do that? That's a lot. We can just.
All right, so we'll remove her and just do it again.
Mhm.
All right, here we go for the ASCA membership. Drum roll, earthquake. Stephanie Dix. Okay. Congratulations, Stephanie, wherever you are.
She's in Howard County.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, she's head of I think she's coordinator for elementary school counseling for, if
Great.
I'm remembering correctly.
Okay. So now we're up to the free entry to this year's conference.
While Bill does that, I'm going to take a picture of us doing this. So everybody, sorry, Marion, you just put food in your mouth, but that's why I'm giving you a warning.
Pretending we're
Everyone
chewing.
smile at your cameras because I'm going to be putting this on social media. If you don't want to be on social media, go ahead and turn your camera off, okay? But go ahead, Bill, you can do it while I'm doing this.
All right, sounds good. Again, this is for the free entry to our conference. Caroline Perry.
Yeah.
All right. And we're down to our grand prize. Okay.
This is when we really need a drum roll effect.
Yes.
That's big.
All right, here we go. For entry to the conference and a hotel stay. Heather Quill. Anyone know her?
No.
I know Heather. She's a Frederick County Public Schools elementary school counselor. She was actually the Frederick County School Counselor of the Year from last year and is nominated and hopefully filling out her application for MSCA.
Great.
Yeah, I know Heather.
That's
Great.
exciting.
That's very exciting. I'm sure she'll be excited that she just got the grand prize.
Yeah.
Do you guys want me to text her?
That'd be great.
I'll text her.
That's super exciting.
Tell her to pop on for a minute to congratulate her.
Yeah. That is like so exciting. We're excited.
All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. Marion, I know I kind of went through everything. Do you have anything you want to add? I apologize.
No apology needed. I think just, again, thank you for all the work you do, because I know that we do a lot of work together, but you're definitely the mastermind of a lot of the stuff we do. And we're better for it.
You know, you're the mastermind behind this, actually. So you're the one that put the whole raffle idea together.
Yeah, and I love it. And I want to thank both of you for it, because it is just, I think it's a great way to encourage people to do. Before we just did and it was, I think, one way, but I think it encourages people to renew or to join, but also I think it also encourages you to participate in our variety of different activities that we have. So thank you so much for all the hard work that you put into that.
No problem. And just for the record, I want to say that anyone that was a new member wasn't included in this. It was just for renewing school counselors.
Yeah, because the new members got a discount, correct? Is
Yes,
that
they
correct?
did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we didn't do a discount this year for renewing of your membership, but we did do this wrap.
Right.
So that way for anyone.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Are there any questions for membership?
Bill, I just put in the chat, but I don't want to post it on social media until you've reached out to them. But once you have reached out to everybody, let me know, and I'll make it a big deal on social media so people know for next year.
Okay.
Which brings us into social media.
Yes.
Look at that segue.
Yep, that was a perfect segue.
All right, so social media, I will say, so Bill and I kind of coordinated, you gotta love Facebook. They changed things. And our site now, we have to go through what's known as Meta Business. Before, anybody that was considered a coordinator on the Facebook page could essentially just switch back and forth between your own personal profile and the MSCA profile. But now that's not the case anymore. So now you have to download a whole different app. It's the same exact thing. It's still Facebook, but you have to go through Meta Business. So I will say, just so you guys know, it's a little bit more difficult for me to now post on social media. It's just not as simple as it was. So be patient if you send me something before I could do it, like anywhere. Like I'd be sitting as a passenger in a car and I could easily do it. I can still do it. It just takes me a little bit longer. So speaking of which, Facebook, our membership rose a little bit. We went from 1641 to 1652. Definitely Baltimore is still by far our biggest population that we're reaching. You can see we've had in the last month 14,090 Facebook pages likes, but there's a difference between liking the page and following the page. So following the page is where it's actually going to come up in your feed. So occasionally, I don't know if I can still do this, but I used to. Whenever I would see people that would like things, I would also invite them to follow the page so that they would see future posts. As always, it's still an algorithm. So the more people that see it or like it or repost it, the more it's going to show up in other people's feeds. So I know I ask you guys all the time to do this, but still, if you see it on Facebook or any of the social media accounts, please join the events, invite people to the events. I haven't been as active lately just because life. So as Nikki said earlier, I'm giving myself grace. But please, if you find stuff, send it to me. If you take pictures of a cool event you're doing, send it to me. Those always tend to get the most reactions is when it's personalized. So it's an event like Kathleen sent me pictures of the conference that got so many likes and people tagging and showing other people and stuff like that. So definitely our events are the most important. Instagram, we well, I looked a little deeper. We gained 17 followers, but we lost 18 followers. So I don't know why we lost followers. But if anybody sees anything that ever rubs them the wrong way, please reach out to me or Nikki. Sometimes people have perspectives that I don't have. So I always appreciate that feedback. A lot of Instagram, I've been trying to use more of Canva to create posts that are unique to MSCA using our logo. So I've been posting that, and then I retweet that, or I post things in the story that I find. So if you also follow an Instagram that you're like, oh, they post really good general stuff, let me know. I also try, when I get books from the library, I try to post those because I think those are good resources for people. So if you ever read a really good book, please send it to me. And that can be, I usually do elementary school books. I'm not an elementary school counselor, but that's what we read in my house. So I always try to repost those. And then finally, Twitter, they don't give a ton of data about who's following. I have a feeling we have like a lot of bots. I think we've lost a lot of followers because of all of the Twitter hubbub that's going on. So I think people are just closing down their Twitter accounts. Twitter makes me nervous. So I will tweet stuff, but I stay away from that a little bit more. As for social media takeovers, those are also really, really popular. Thank you to Marion and Nikki and everyone else who has done one. Mia said she would do one this month, so I'm going to reach out to her. I think she's going to do a social media takeover. I am planning on doing one. I might start mine on Monday. It's just weird for me to do a social media takeover because I am the social media coordinator, but I'm going to probably try to do it as secretary or like as a middle school counselor. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Kathleen's going to do a takeover in February. You don't have to do Instagram, but Instagram is the easiest to give you our information. Again, Twitter, I don't personally trust. Maureen might do one in Twitter or do something with Twitter in the future. And then Facebook, it's going to be a pain to try to get you to log on because of this whole meta business thing. So, but let me know if you're interested in, and Sharon did a really great Instagram takeover. So thank you, Sharon. I think that was a good push for our website, our store.
You're welcome.
It was
That
great.
was great. Yeah.
Allie, I have a question for you just regarding, could you refresh my memory on what the social media takeover would involve?
Of course. So social media takeover, like I said, Instagram is the easiest. And I would give you the password and login. We just have to know, Nikki and I have to have a general idea because Nikki and I sometimes get emails that say somebody has hacked your account. So I know that happened with Nikki once and I was like, no, it's Marion. She's doing a takeover. So we just have to have a general idea of when you're going to log on. And then once you log on, it's a week of, you can repost stuff that like you follow, but the videos are the best. So it's recording yourself, like Marion did, like, this is my office, look how messy it is. Like, who feels that way? And then so people comment. So things like that you're doing during the day, your role. So it's really great for board members to like, this is, come join me. We have a meeting coming up, information like that. Sharon did a lot of like little like posters, like the posts for the school, not school store, the website store. So she was promoting when that store opened and purchasing stuff. So it's essentially just a week of you trying to get on so people know who you are. So typically when I post for MSCA, I post as MSCA, but this is somebody posting as like themselves. Does that help, Holly?
Yes, it does.
So
I'm more comfortable with Twitter, actually. I know a lot better about how that works. So I'm considering it for January because that's when the General Assembly begins. So I figured that week of that opening would probably be a good one.
Yeah, and I think we talked, maybe, I can't remember.
Yeah, last
Yes.
year I said I would do it, and then, you know, whatever month I said I would do it came, and I was like, I can't.
I understand. And that totally happens and no problems with that. If you want to do Twitter, that's totally fine. I can get you the password. We just haven't had anyone do it. So it'll be a trial and error. We might need to be like on the phone in case there is. And certain things, the Instagram account, like I personally created. So I know all the stuff comes to me. I don't know who, I think Bill, we determined, maybe Bill did the Facebook. We don't really know. And I don't know who created the Twitter account. So they might get an email saying like somebody's trying to get on your account, but we can trial and error it. So, but yeah, I would love that because we do have a ton of followers on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, and as long as you stay away from the craziness, there are the pockets of sanity where people are very positive and encouraging on Twitter. So
yeah, and you have a good following base, so I think that would be awesome. So yeah, we'll coordinate. I'm going to put you down for January for possibly.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I have to report out.
Thank you. Well, I'm wondering, one of the things I do wonder is maybe do you think if we did Hootsuite, or one of those like social media management, like I think we talked about that before, whether that would make it easier to coordinate to do Facebook posting. I don't know. I'm saying things like I act like I know, but I don't know. I don't know whether would make it easier to get into Facebook and do that, maneuvering that. I don't know.
I don't know. Again, I don't have the passwords for Facebook. I try to keep Facebook, and I know that like you can connect them. So like you post once and it connects. But I like having them different to encourage people to try to follow both so that it doesn't get repetitive.
Okay.
I don't mind doing it. I enjoy doing it the way it is. I just also need more content. So I need people, like if people can send me stuff, that's always helpful.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do with it and keeping it up to date. I also, what I was going to say with Instagram, I don't think it's really like, because some of the social media people I follow, they've been reporting this too, where like they're like they lost followers, but then they gained the same number. So I don't know whether it is like a couple, and these are like fashion people. So it's like it's not like they're doing anything.
This was the first time we've ever lost people, so that makes me feel better that maybe it's not us; it's just a thing.
Yeah, like, and these are like I follow a lot of fashion moms and doing like, and so it's not like anything that's controversial that they're putting up there. And they were complaining about something with the algorithm because they were like, they woke up and lost followers. And then, and then people are not being able to find their account and all of this other stuff. So I think it might be something on Instagram's end of it. So
that's good to know.
And especially if it's the same exact number, that tells me that there's something that's going on behind the scenes that has nothing to do with, I can't think. What are the chances that you would lose 18 followers and gain 18 followers? Like,
yeah, I think we just lost maybe one because we lost 17 or we gained 18 and I don't know. It was like off by one number, but like it's fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's good to know though, Nikki. Thank you.
It's probably something. All right, moving on. Professional development. It doesn't have a report, but he is, I guess, working in collaboration with me to get Lorenz Law up and running with Bowie State, so that way we can have an offering for that, as well as getting that up and running. So that's the only thing.
And Nikki, just so you know, with Lorenz Law, I think more and more counties are running it through the county, so we might have less interest on that going forward.
I know a built-in interest with Prince George's County. They are not interested in running it through their county. They are interested in running it with Bowie and with MSCA. So, because we'd be happy to not do it at all, but they are actually calling us to say, when are you going to offer it? So I was like, wait a moment. And so that's it. So, all right. And and you said, I know the Western region, not as yet, was requested in workshop feedback. So yeah. So, all right. Equity and Social Justice Committee, Mia is going to begin. She's revamping the way they're meeting. She's thinking it. I met with her, talked briefly with her this week. And she said that she's exploring the way that they're going to meet. So she's really considering possibly having more of a working session or looking at some smaller groups that they're doing within her county and looking at incorporating and how she can bring that within MSCA. So committee members or those who are interested, she should be or getting in contact with you regarding that next steps. All right. And anybody should know, everyone should know, if you ever have questions, Amia is our contact. She is the chair for the Equity and Social Justice, and she's a perfect person to talk about if you have questions or anything like that, to go over with things, particularly regarding equity and social justice. And they usually meet the third Thursday of the month at 5 o'clock. But if you check the calendar, it has the link and has information. Okay, moving on. Holly, Legislation and Legislative Advocacy Committee.
All right.
Holly's been working.
Well, Nikki has too, for sure. So what Nikki and I have been doing is meeting monthly with our policy partners, which is our lobbying firm. And Scott Tiffin, who had been our point of contact, has actually been asked to return to his previous position. So he's working with a legislator. So we have, and Nikki, I forget her name, honestly, who our new point person is, but
Robin.
she's Scott's, yeah, Robin.
Yeah.
So we'll still be meeting with her monthly, and as we approach the opening of General Assembly, those meetings will increase in frequency. And then once the legislative session begins, then it'll be pretty constant. The AIB, which is as part of the blueprint for Maryland's future, one of the parts of that legislation was to make sure that there was kind of a board that was overseeing how the money is spent, because it's a huge amount of money. And so it's the Accountability and Implementation Board. They had a meeting where they had written a draft for some updates that they wanted to make to the blueprint, and they were asking for feedback on that. And so Nikki provided verbal testimony. And I know that Scott had given us the link. If you wanted to, that might be something that would be good for social media, because what Nikki was talking about was our role, that first of all, there's still the G word is still used in some of the legislation. So making sure that our job description is accurate, talking about how, our concerns are across the state of Maryland with counselors doing too many non-counseling duties, including things like 504 and test administration. So allowing us to be able to do the work that we're trained to do in providing proactive and preventative mental health services for our whole student body. So she spoke about that we're the ones who work with 100% of students in our building, and that we need to be able to do our jobs rather than being asked to do things that are outside of our purview. And also about, COMAR regulation says that we're supposed to have that 80% of direct student service to students. So then I did a follow-up. I did a written testimony, because we also commented that school counselors are not currently on the career ladder. So because of that, part of my personal it's impacted me personally, because I'm a national board certified teacher in school counseling, and I have not been eligible for the salary enhancement, which is the same as counselors across the state, which is a $10,000 salary enhancement, which means it's not a stipend. It includes, it impacts your retirement as well. And for counselors that are in an identified community school, those MBCTs that are in a community school get an additional $7,000 a year on top of that. So we have at least one school counselor in Anne Arundel County who is not receiving $17,000 per year that her colleagues that are also MBCTs in the same building are getting. So that's part of what we've been talking about with the AIB. So again, Nikki did verbal testimony, I did written testimony. I was able to get one of my counselors in my county to also write something from on the career ladder. There's also, we were working with Scott, and now we're working with Robin on having school counselors have a seat at the table. And I don't know the exact name of the consortium, but it's talking about school health. And I've had to change my mindset a little bit. When I hear school health, I automatically think health room. But the way that lawmakers and the general public, they include behavioral health in school health. And so in this consortium, they have people providing input on services provided to students at these community schools. And the community schools are the ones that provide wraparound services. So they have social workers at the table, they have school psychologists at the table, they have school health at the table, they have people that are from the private sector that are part of this consortium. But the people who are in the buildings who are trained to work with all students are not at the table. School counselors currently don't have a seat at the table. So we've been working with lawmakers, and part of it is having a lobbying firm that is able to set up the meetings with the lawmakers, and they have personal relationships with the lawmakers. And then when Nikki and I have talked to them, they're like, oh, that's what you guys do? Or, oh, what do you mean you guys don't have anyone at the table? We're like, no, we're here and we're trained to do these things that you're asking for input on, but no one is hearing our voice because we're not present. So as far as there might be some people that are a little frustrated that have been following the career ladder stuff, we're in a bit of a lull right now because there's been the election and there's going to be new leadership in the governor's office. There's also going to be new people named to different positions. So we're having to kind of hold off for a moment, waiting for decisions on whether people are going to stay on the same committees or whether they're going to change, because depending on who your audience is, you have to change your message a little bit. And so we're waiting on that. But in the meantime, I want to encourage people to really focus on your local stuff. And I'm not necessarily talking about legislation, I'm talking about the budget cycle. So for example, this coming week in Anne Arundel County, I'll be attending a budget workshop where I get to hear what the proposed budget is for next school year. And what happens there is you get to hear about the money that's going to be allocated for student services. And are they going to be attempting to hire additional school counselors? That's where you hear that information. So I would encourage everyone, no matter what your county, to look up when your board meetings are and check out their agendas and see whether or not they're going to be talking about the budget and if there's meetings. And now, because things are live streamed, it's nice because you can access them online. I would encourage you to do that. And also, as we're approaching the legislative session, the larger counties do have someone whose job it is to know what legislation is coming up in the session, and they will start presenting information to the board about upcoming laws. And some of them, a lot of them will include about blueprint legislation, but a lot of it is stuff that you're like, oh gosh, I didn't even know that there's going to be a law about that. It could be about like the college and career implementation for high school that impacts high school counselors. It could be pre-K programs. It could be wraparound services. And so there's laws that come up that are presented to your board. So I would encourage everyone to do that. I'm going to try to make a video that and then post it. I could post it on social media about a little bit more how to do that. Because honestly, I think counselors are the type of people that once you know information, you're like, oh, and then you speak up. But it's a matter of being tapped in. So that goes to, I'll skip. All right, I'll go to the next thing that I put in there. This had been something, there is a, at the state level, there's a work, it's like a task force being gathered. And what they're looking for is people who are in behavioral health professions, who they're looking at the fact that we do not have enough representation, you know, that like you look at even at our MSCA meetings, right? We want to make sure that we hear from people from underrepresented groups. So they're looking for people who are in the behavioral health professions, including school counseling, to be part of this task force. So I put the link in there. even if you feel like it doesn't apply to you, if you feel like there's someone else in your county or your cluster that you feel would be a good person, it's an application process. So the more school counselors we could have on there, probably the better, so that people know that we exist and the work that we do. One of the things I'm looking at is planning a legislative day during National School Counseling Week. So we're going to start small, where we're thinking a virtual meeting with lawmakers, and it would be that first Monday of National School Counseling Week, because legislators come into town and they usually have a late day on Monday night. No one is there Friday afternoon. The other evenings are not always the best to catch them, but when we're available and when lawmakers are available to meet tends to be in the afternoon or evening hours on Mondays. So right now, that's what I'm anticipating. And the other thing, oh yeah, down below that, sorry, Allie, if I'm going fast. The request for a committee member who can follow MSDE meetings. So I did send out an email to people who had indicated interest in being part of the legislative committee. And just like your local board, our MSDE has their monthly meetings, and often I am surprised at the information that I see that they met on, or presentations that they did that include student mental health, and yet there's nothing regarding school counselors. So even at the MSDE level, we're not necessarily included. So I also emailed out to prospective committee members a document that was presented in September about student mental health. And again, I don't think school counselor was mentioned at all in any of the slides. So that would be an example of, if I could have somebody who would go to MSDE, look at their agenda ahead of time, see what topics they're going to cover, and then if sometimes they don't reveal what the agenda is until a few days ahead of time, so it's kind of hard to turn around and respond. But at least if we know, we could craft a response or have people write letters or that kind of thing, because you also have video of the meetings, so you'll get the materials, but then after the meeting you can watch the presentations. And that's how I ended up providing testimony in person to MSCE last year, because I saw about the career ladder, and it was like they didn't realize that school counselors were not included and that we are MBCTs. So they didn't seem to know that. So I felt like it was important for them to be informed. So if there's anyone who's interested in following MSDE, they have monthly meetings, and then to be able to share out to me and committee members. And yeah, so I skipped ahead. So focus on local advocacy. You might want to be, have your ear to the ground on what's going on as far as your budget cycle locally. Any questions for me?
Allie, do you want me to put any of this stuff on social media, like the behavioral health professionals application?
Yes, in fact, let me get you some better wording so that people would understand what they're even clicking for.
You read my mind. Thank you.
There's a lot of committee, consortium, work group, task force.
Yep, I would have copied and pasted so as to not get it wrong. So if you want to give me better wording, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
And Nikki, if I missed anything, please.
No, I think Holly really covered it. I think as Holly was saying about switching from, so with Scott leaving, Robin, who is the partner in the policy partners firm, is stepping in terms of taking that on. So whereas he was, I think, the legislative assistant, or yes, I think that was his title. She's the partner within the firm. So that is good in terms of that part of it. We are starting, because we developed a really great working relationship with him, but we feel that we're in really good hands with Robin, because she has a lot of experience in a lot of wonderful working relationships. So this has been really beneficial, especially as we're ramping up to the legislative year. And I know everybody's like, they're so busy, but I mean, if you can, this is really where the money is. I'm like, if you, yeah, there's not even any way, like you can be busy, but this is it. If you don't like something that is going on in the school that you're in, your job, you know, the work that we're doing, the responsibilities, this is where it happens. Like Hamilton says, this is the room where it all happens. And so I would strongly suggest making it a priority, because it is all about relationships. And a lot of times once we start talking, they're like, oh, okay, well, what can we do? We want to help you. But they want to talk with you. And sadly, it is during the day. It is during the time when you're working. It is during those things. It is going to happen at that time. It's not going to be in the evening. It is going to be during the school day hours. They're not going to change it. But it is the only way I think that we can make headway in terms of kind of making sure that our voice is there at the table. So it's a time.
And honestly, I think once you hear stuff or read stuff, let's just say your energy level is increased by the things that you read, and you start going, but wait a minute. And that's when you do have that energy to respond, or, you know, and my thinking is like just one thing, like make one phone call, write one note, attend one meeting, so that someone knows that you're listening and that you're out there.
Yeah.
Nikki,
Yes.
this will be to you and Holly in reference. I know Holly mentioned about the community schools. Suggestion, Dr. Lynn Muller has been asked, you know, she went into retirement, but she has been asked by the assistant superintendent to come back. So she's back at MSCA for 3 days, and she's given the charge of the community schools.
Oh.
And I understand she's been back about a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And she's actually in the office like 3 days out of the week. But her task is, because they needed somebody to work with the community schools, and they gave it to Lynn. And I think that's an excellent choice to give it to her, because she has a little background with school counseling. And I think she'll be a good spokesperson.
Yes.
On the behalf of school counselors. And as Holly mentioned about MSCA, I would suggest, if it hasn't, to pull in Jonathan Turner, because Jonathan is right there in MSCA. And I know the board, they're not going to go if you approach it and say, you know, I don't see school counselors, but they'll approach it if you go through student services, because that's how they address all the disciplines, is through student services. So I would suggest to contact Jonathan and give him a call, because he actually would probably, because legislation is coming up right after the Christmas holiday, and most of it falls in the student services office. So I think Jonathan would be a good support as well as ally.
Yes. Oh yeah. Thank you. He is a great ally. He's usually at this meeting. But yeah.
But Jonathan has just stepped down.
Oh, okay.
He just stepped down about a week ago, I think was his last day. I think he's going back into the field to work.
Then that explains why I didn't get an email back.
Yep, we got that message at one of our last meetings. So no more John, and there's still the position is open, so they have not hired some. There is someone taking, I think, his responsibilities, but I can't remember her name right now.
If you can get that to me, that would be good. That's
I'm so glad we have people here who know these things. Thank you.
It was recent. It was very recent. It was shocking. But
yes, I'm very shocked, because that explains why I sent an email about this meeting. So
yep, I think I want to say either this past Monday or the one before that was his last day. So
yeah.
And the other issue with the career ladder and recognizing the roles of the school counselors, and I was listening to Holly, a very good report, and I said one of the issues It's just not what the steps, what you're saying is coming down from the federal. Because there's a committee of that I serve on nationally in DC, and it's the National Alliance for Specialized Support Instructional Personnel. And that's where school counselors, because I think Sheila Hawkins from ASCA, she sits next to me. So we're addressing the whole issue about the roles of the different disciplines, and school counselors is right there. And the biggest concern, and you mentioned it, that federal folks push instructions, the teachers. They don't see the connections with school counselors, school psychologists with the schools. So there's a big push to actually focus in on the school counselors and school psychologists and school health to align them with the instructions. So what you're saying is really coming from the feds, because we're up on the hill telling people, school counselors, this is a role, and you had to comment, oh, that's what you do. So what you're saying is just a mirror of what's going on in DC. So we actually have a committee that's working to align school counselors, school psychologists. So the health, and I shared this, and I shared it with Nikki at our meeting. In October, there was a bipartisan bill over $23 billion that was passed to go to the states to hire additional school counselors. And so the states have to put in their grant for the money. They up to date by February. So each state will have an opportunity to increase the funding for school counselors, school psychologists.
And just like everywhere else, there's not enough, right? So what I would be advocating for is what a way to recruit additional school counselors by saying, if you become NBCT, you'll get $10,000 more if you're in Maryland.
Right.
You know, so, and what they don't know is, and a lot of people don't realize how much we do teach. That we're actually teaching skills. And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to be an MBCT if I wasn't able to demonstrate formative and summative assessments of the skills that I literally teach children. And so they really don't understand the teaching aspect, whether you teach to a whole class, a group of 5 or 8, or even individually, you are teaching skills.
And what I can do, I can send you copies of the legislation and the letters that have gone to Congress to focus on those issues.
That would be terrific, because we also have like Jamie Raskin clearly is concerns about mental health and things like that. So being able to reach out to state legislators and bring their attention to that too.
That would be great. And Richard, if you want, or anybody, please know that Holly and I meet with our lobbyists the first Tuesday of the month. I think at 4 o'clock. Is it 4 o'clock typically?
Yeah.
4 o'clock. And so you're welcome to send an email to Holly, and she can forward you the meeting link. You're welcome to attend and to get information about that, because I think it can be helpful to, coordinate efforts, especially right now. That's once a month. We will be zooming it up, ramping it up to move to thank you, Jackie, for putting that in there. We'll be ramping it up to beginning bi-weekly. And then once the session is in, it is really going to be increasing. And that's when, Holly, we will need your help a great deal, because there's going to be bills. Things move very quickly. It's just like school. It really is. And it's unfortunate that it's during the school time, but it is the things that if we don't pay attention to it, it is how Lorenz Law can be passed. And you're like, how in the world that can happen? Because we aren't at the table. That is the one thing. Usually I'm like, really just like, okay, guys, I'll give you grace. I'm not going to get, like, we can't give grace here, because then we can't sit around and talk about this isn't fair. We're not doing this. We have too much, but we don't show up at the table at the time to have these meetings. And it can't be just 1 or 2 of us. It has to be us, because we're the only ones that are going to do it for ourselves. So National School Counseling Week is going to look a little different, where we're going to be less about celebrating us. That's great, but more about educating, because that's really what ASCA put it in place for. It was to educate other people about who we are and what we do. So really pushing ourselves out there to kind of say, this is who we are and what we do. And then I'll get off the soapbox. No, so, all right, any other questions about legislation, advocacy? All right. Ethics Committee, thank you. Thank you for your report, Holly. Thank you, Richard, for your comments, and thank you for everybody for the questions. So for ethics, Carolyn wasn't able to make it today. She just wanted to note that she is finishing taking the ethics training and should be done, I guess, in January. She said she anticipates she should be done in January. And then Sharon.
Hello. So I just wanted to share, we did get 2 new clothing, as you can see on the screen. School counselor, I'll be there for you. And then we have like a fleece sweater, school counselor difference maker, items that are available now. And then just sharing that, so I did like 7 orders were coming through. Like when I was on the Instagram and like really sharing like what's going on, orders were starting to come through. So I filled about 7 orders, and some of the orders were pretty big too. So that's exciting. And then the last one was just like really trying to figure out a way that is efficient to pay for the items that when they're being shipped out. That's really where I'm at now. So yeah, but that's all I really have to share.
Thank you, Sharon. And I was going to say, I thought, and so we may need to talk with Leslie and Remy Zimmer. I thought we set up an account through UPS.
Yeah, we tried to do it. And I did the whole thing where I put the card on file and gave Leslie, the login information. And for whatever reason, it just didn't translate. It didn't work. So Sharon and I can maybe try that again. But it just, for whatever reason, it was not translating well. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to try and figure out, and what you see me in there is we're talking about purchasing new items. Sharon is awesome because she is doing a great job of finding. That's why we asked Sharon to come aboard and to step into this role so that way she can do, she has a wonderful style. So selecting items. So she's gonna, before she brings on new items and new ideas and everything, she's gonna swing them by the board, the elected board, to just have us take a look at them and in terms of that part of it. But so there's some logistical pieces. So for new people that are coming aboard, we had a previous merchandising person, which was Leslie, who was great and everything with doing that. And we had some places that we were beginning to, the biggest thing I think Leslie saw too was the challenge of shipping. Was we could put the payment in there, but shipping the things out. So trying to come up with an account. So, and Leslie was like, in all honesty, Leslie, like, I'm a busy with all of life and stuff like that. So she's like, I'm not all about ordering, new ideas and things like that. So Sharon came on with the new ideas with items and everything. She's going to touch base with us, the board, to let us know, elected board, if the new items that she's going to purchase. And, we'll take a look at that and more than likely, like, let's go. But it sounds like the biggest part, Sharon, is so that way it's not hitting your pocket. So people can understand that we can order and pay for things because we usually use the credit card and do that. But it is the shipping process. It's just, I guess, setting up a shipping account. And I know we explored different ones, and so it sounds like what Zia said was it didn't quite work. I thought we had it going, but it didn't work. So we need to get that going. So that way you just have an account number, Sharon, where you would log in, do that, put the account number in, and even probably schedule a pickup and they pick it up and take it or something like that. Or you take it to
that would be the hope, is to be able to schedule pickup and do all that stuff so you don't have to keep running around and paying and being reimbursed. So if anybody here is a small business owner that does that type of thing and you have a system that works, we would love to hear it.
Because it's holidays and Sharon is like, I am not Bill Gates' granddaughter. So you're like, I don't have it to be paying for shipping like that.
Actually, since you brought up holidays, that's what I was going to ask. How long does it typically take? Because I was going to do a social media post, but if they're not going to be able to get it by the holidays, I don't want to like promote it for like gifts. I can't hear you, Sharon. It's just, oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying that it doesn't like take me long to ship it. I mean, because the storage unit is literally like right across from my house. So I just like go get the items, and then I try to like wait for, you know, a good amount of orders. I mean, versus like going back to the unit, getting more stuff. But it doesn't take me that long. I mean, it's usually like probably 5 to 7 days they should receive it. And I usually just go through the post office. So.
And how long do you think does the post office give you a date for how long they think it's going to take?
You can always look it up. Hold on.
I'm just wondering, I would want to, if I posted something and I don't have to, but if today is December 3rd, like, do we think if they ordered by December 9th, next Friday, they would get it by Christmas? I know we can't, I don't know, can we, or should I just not even touch that because I don't want to take any chances?
They're staying online by like December 17th for first class mail. And that's usually what I do. I just do first class. So cutoff dates to arrive for things to arrive by December 5th, saying December 17th.
Okay, I'm not going to put a date this year, but maybe next year we like coordinate, like if you want your gift by, we can even say like Hanukkah, if you want your gift by Christmas or something like, or dates, like if you want your gift by December 25th, you must order by this. And if we can promote it maybe in future years like that, it might spark people to do it by a certain time to also give you. But since it's already December 3rd, I don't want to do that this year.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just would maybe just because I'm like focused on this kind of stuff in everyday work now, I don't know that it's a great idea to like promote like holiday sales and stuff like that, just because we represent so many people. So I don't know that we want to look like, oh, we're having a Christmas sale. That's just my personal opinion because I'm trying to be more inclusive at school every day and kind of remove certain things. So I just wanted to throw that out there that, you know, maybe, you know, times like school counseling week and beginning of the school year and other things that are relevant to school counseling versus Christmas. That's just I just wanted to, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, I mean, I totally hear you. And that's why I was thinking more it would be a date, not necessarily like, because, you know, this is a gift giving time of year. So I just feel like it's a good time to kind of make people aware. Like, I know my husband has given me products from it. But so I was more thinking like, if you want to receive something by December 17th, you have to order by this date. So like, we wouldn't have to tie it to the holiday necessarily, but more giving them an idea of like, you're not going to get it by this date if you order it at this time. Just kind of making them more aware.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally hear you.
And no, I think that's good feedback. And I think it's just to be inclusive and thinking. And I think just maybe even giving dates. Marion said, I was thinking about that as well. I think if we indicate mid-December in the future, and that should be fine. And that would include holiday events. And I think even once we, and maybe Zamora and Sharon and we can get on. I think we did this before with Leslie and try and figure out this. So, but if anybody's a small business person, I'm like, people do this all the time. Like, how do the Instagram people do it? Maybe you need to go to Instagram college. Or ask us, they're like 16-year-old kids that are like selling stuff on Instagram. So I'm like, that's what we need, a good 60. Ask your high school students. There's probably a high school student could tell us all the hacks about it. And there's probably a TikTok on it. But we need to think, clearly we're too educated. So we're overthinking it. That's probably the best word. Not too educated, we're overthinking it. But if we could probably try and get on to figure out the shipping thing. So I will text Ziamora, Sharon, and I, so we can try and come up with a plan with the next thing. And then I think it would be nice to start looking at, oh, good, thank you. Oh, yeah, please, thank you, Maureen. Your daughter probably has some, she probably knows. That would be great.
Yeah, she did during the pandemic when she was home. She had some little art business and she was making stuff and sending.
I'm telling you.
Entrepreneurs.
They are. There's a whole new generation. They are like, yes, so please, that would be helpful. And then, I think what we can do, thank you, Richard. Thank you for your feedback. And then we can have an opportunity to get the next steps. But then also, I think keeping in mind, just in general, I think it'd be nice to provide people a shipping date. So if you plan on ordering this time, it'll come in 10, to 15 business days or whatever it might be. I'm just saying that. So, all right. Thank you, Allie. So thank you. Okay. We're moving along. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Ziamona. Thank you, Maureen. Mentoring.
All right. So first, big thank you to Maureen because she kind of closed the loop and we were able to meet on November 17th just to kind of get the committee going again. It was one of those committees that with the craziness of last year, we kind of went from, we set our mentor pairings up and then we were only meeting like bi-monthly and then it was the end of the year and time got away from us. So on November 17th, we decided to send out an email to the last year's pairings. I believe we had, I want to say it was like 6, 7, 8 pairings somewhere in there. And I sent an email to them just asking for some brief feedback about the mentor handbook that Maureen and Marion created, as well as just if they had any feedback for us about how we could approach things in the future. One of the things that was shared was it would be helpful if mentors and mentees were in the same county. Because sometimes one pair experienced that they could help with like general school counseling things, but if it was more about like county's policies and things like that, that was a little bit difficult. So I will finish compiling the feedback from those. 16 people have signed up for the committee via the email that we recently blasted out. And we did a follow-up Google form just to make sure they wanted to be on the committee versus were you thinking you were a mentor or a mentee. 10 responses went out so far and 7 people were interested in helping with the committee work. So I'm going to be sending an email today. Part of that Google form was like, what day of the week is best for you? And most people said Mondays. So we're going to have a brief meeting on Monday, December 12th at 7 p.m. Where we determine like what is going to be our set date. The third week of whatever and then discuss like next steps and share responsibilities. We briefly discussed on the 17th that we would hopefully like to get some pairings up and running possibly in January. So we're kind of moving forward. And that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions? Thank you so much. And thank you, Kathleen, for the work that you're doing. Thank you, Maureen, for getting up and organizing. This is amazing. And I think that is some great suggestions regarding them providing mentors, within counties. I think, and also might be a great way to take a look because I know some counties do have a mentor process in place. And so if someone is in a county that wants it, and we may not have someone from the matching county identifying or maybe connecting them with their county that may have a mentoring program within their official office, school counseling office. And yes, Marion said, so glad so many people showed interest. Yeah, it is definitely a way we sustain our work. Public relations, Richard was just on, he had to leave off for a committee meeting, or no, for a funeral. And so I don't think he reported that he serves on a national committee for student services. I can't remember off the top, and he just said it. And providing advocacy regarding school counseling. I don't think there was anything else. So thank you. And then moving to regional reps, Jackie.
Good morning, everyone. I put conference in there, but I should have said professional development. So the Southern Maryland region has successfully launched a professional development that's actually happening this week, December 7th. So of course, our guy, Bill Marcioni, has been very instrumental in helping to get us together, as well as Miss Nina D, a school counselor at Matula Elementary School in Charles County. The three of us kind of work together to get this pulled off. It is this coming Wednesday. Is it Wednesday or Thursday, Bill? What's
It's
the
Wednesday.
7th? Thank you. At the St. Mary's College, a partnership that we have just kind of reconnected with over the past few months in our county. So we're excited to go back to their beautiful campus down on the water. But the two topics are using school data, and then trauma-informed schools. So we had capped it at 100 participants. Bill, do you know at this point how many registrations we have so far?
We are at about 90 right now.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Mhm.
We have a big contingency coming from PG County, so we're excited about that. And then I know some of our our Charles County counselors are coming as well. So hopefully you all can get a chance to come. But that's what's happening in the southern region of Maryland. Bill, anything that I forgot?
They did actually up it to 125, but we only had 90 that have registered anyway, so
Okay.
it's still good. Mhm.
Right.
Is it too late to register?
Registration was over yesterday, but Jackie and I were just talking in a side conversation. We always can bump it till Sunday because they wanted to have the final numbers by Monday anyway. So I might as well open it up again until Sunday to see if anyone else wants to join in and put out an email.
I was gonna say, do you want me to post it on social media today that they have to register and there's only limited spots left?
That'd be great.
All right,
Wow.
I'll do that at the end of this.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's exciting. I'll be there. So I'm excited. A little late, got morning drop off, but I'll be there. All right. And then
Actually,
okay.
I'm sorry, Nikki, one thing I wanted to add. So one of the things we were looking to do was to have a table set up where we're going to be kind of highlighting MSCA member, because a lot of these people that are coming are not members. So we're going to have a table set up where they can go on and register if they want to, or at least have our MSCA store up so they can see that as well. So I just wanted to run that by you all to make sure you guys are good with that.
Sure. Do you have materials? Do you have things?
I was going to have the computer up so they can see what's available and then they can just load it online.
Oh, perfect.
That's why
Yeah,
I was
that's
asking you for the tablecloth.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, I know it's ideally to probably have the actual items. I just don't, I know logistically, I don't know, Sharon to get down and
yeah, she's about 2.5 hours away from you, so that might be difficult.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. That is a tough one. So I don't want to put that on her. So it is a really good idea, yeah, for region if we can figure out a consistent way. I think it's probably about coordinating a meetup spot, like a central meetup. So I would say like regional reps to like, I would try, coordinate a meet with Sharon, like a regional location or central location to meet up and exchange items and stuff like that. I think that would be definitely really great. And I know, Bill, today we are doing a lot of Christmas unpacking and stuff like that. So I have to look in the basement to get the
yeah, if we don't have it, I guess we'll just set up the computers and make a sign and just kind of just advertise it verbally. That's all.
Yeah. So yes, and they do ASCA does. They send representatives. So we usually let the ASCA know our dates, and then their staff has different dates that they sign up to have a representative to have a table at the conferences. So yes, absolutely.
And Nikki, do we need to do anything else regarding the contact hours?
I'll send you the draft. Did I send you the draft already?
You sent me. We already applied for it.
Yeah.
So it's a matter now. Is there a certificate that that's what I need to find out, the whole certificate piece?
Yeah, I thought I sent it. I'll send it to you. I thought I did, but I'll send it to you.
You might have.
Yep, I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
I'll do that. All right. Kate, I think, has no report, who is in the Eastern region. Kate and Rose Hollinger, Rose Zollinger. So at this time, no report. And then Cece is in the Northern region, no report at this time. And the same with Daniela. It looks like we need to get Daniela email. I thought we did, Daniela Hilton. But Bill, if I can send that to you, I have her email before. I know
that I think what happened was you did send it to me. I didn't send it out, but if they don't get on and do it within a certain amount of time, it has to be resent again.
Okay.
So,
all right. You can send that out to her again.
That's not a problem.
And then Western Region rep, we have with Kate, Kathleen. I'm sorry, Kathleen.
Not a ton to report from the Western region. I just wanted to take a second and share out between our last meeting and now, I had time to actually look. We sent out a Google form survey just about the workshop that we did. It was only filled out by 10 participants, but I'll take the 10. So half shared that they enjoyed it. One of the questions we asked was, would you rather have a 1 day, a 2 day, or it didn't matter? And half said that they preferred it in a 1 day format. Pre-pandemic, we actually did a 2 day format. And just overall, the feedback was very positive. And I kind of just pasted some there. That was the first top comments, the one about Lawrence Law and trying to find a way to bring it out to this side of the state. So, yep. So that's all I got.
Oh, they want it in person, Lorenz Law, as opposed
I
to.
think so. So it is true. In the past, I believe we have received MSDE credit for attending. That was when it was multi-days. And that's how I kind of learned about how to do MSDE credit for stuff like this. And then they said, you know, I'm hoping for that credit option again, especially if there would be an opportunity to obtain credit for Lawrence Law.
Oh, at the event. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Just probably, I mean, it's just getting a trainer to train it, but yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted to go. I didn't realize that it was in, once I Googled, I think I told, I was like, oh, it's like.
It's a little further out than, yeah.
Yeah.
I
believe I got
like the Eastern Shore for like our big conference. You got
Yes.
the same thing on the Western side.
Yeah. I didn't plan accordingly. I was, you know, you look at it the night before and I didn't plan. So anyway, but moving on, but I'm excited for that. So I will plan better. All right. And at this time, Alexis isn't here. She's not able to be here. So no report at this time. So we'll turn it over to Ziamara, treasurer.
Good morning. Good morning. Not too much going on over here. It is the end of the year is wrapping up. So our taxes are currently being filed. All the paperwork has been submitted. So all of that stuff is going well. And I see Allie typing, so I'll give you our numbers now. We have our current PayPal balance is $3,996.65. And our current bank account balance is $65,936.38. Bill, I don't know if you've had a chance to go to the post office box, but I haven't received anything, Nikki, from Robert and the crew. I know we were expecting because there have been some registrations, but I haven't received anything yet. So we'll definitely see a little bump in our account balance when I start receiving the conference registration money.
Seema, I just went yesterday and there was nothing for that. I have lots of checks to send you, but nothing around the conference.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
I'll come down and find out when they'll start, if they've started receiving, when we'll start receiving checks.
okay, perfect. That's it for me. Still, just for anybody, you know, in the room, I will not be rerunning. So if you know anyone that would be interested, please, please, please let me know. I'm happy to have them shadow and talk to them, but definitely looking forward to passing on the torch.
All right. Thank you. And thank you so much. And anybody, you can do it. Not anybody can do it, but it can be done. And again, there is a stipend. I just sent a text out to Robert to ask about when we will start receiving money from registration, but also typically get once a month for registration and as well as from the sponsors when they start paying out and everything. But regarding treasurer, you can do it. It's a stipend. To anyone that's fearful and like, oh my goodness, what if we have us go bankrupt? We have an accounting firm, so that can't happen. They keep us very much accountable for everything. So it's not like you're doing all of this by yourself. You're just kind of managing the books. Essentially what you do as a counselor, you're just kind of tracking the numbers, especially high school counselors. It's kind of like a little bit like transcripts. So you're just like watching everything, but it's not like you can really mess anything up or anything like that.
Yes, I don't touch the taxes. I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all through the accounting firm. It's really just responding to emails for refunds and depositing checks and doing the monthly, giving the accounting firm our monthly bank statements and things like that. So it's a little bit of work, but nothing that's not handleable. So
Yeah.
you'll definitely enjoy it.
You will. You will. All right. Thank you. And I know Tracy sent an email and she said that she is not, won't be here today, so she doesn't have a report. So no report for her. Middle school VP, Shanta.
Good morning, everyone. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get in contact with the person who was going to do the boot camp. So I am looking for someone to facilitate that. So if anyone knows anyone who's willing to do an NCE boot camp or work with me to get that off the ground, that'd be helpful. If not, I will try to find someone on my own. The other thing is I am looking for any middle school counselors who are interested. I will be doing the social media takeover during March for Middle School Mondays throughout the month of March. So if any middle school counselors are interested in showcasing their school, I can do those postings in March. And I like to get it kind of in order before it'll be my time. So that's all I have to report at this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. High school VP.
Hi, folks. Marion Hoyt. So I added my notes in there already. So I took over MSCA Online a couple weeks ago. Hopefully you saw, as Allie had referenced earlier, yes, I did do a live showing my messy office. But to me, that is a good thing because it shows I am doing things for my students. I could use my own personal secretary perhaps as well, but that's besides the point. So folks, I have been quite busy over the last few months. I hosted FAFSA Tips and Tricks with Miss Kittle. She is the post-secondary advisor in Baltimore City Schools. She's a really great resource for me, but I specifically had asked her to do a webinar because I learned a lot about anyone who is a high school counselor knows those FAFSA reports and, partial match, no match, like all of those things can be incredibly confusing. And she did a great job teaching us in our PD, like in our district PD. So I wanted to give her kind of expertise, if you will, to all of our counselors because she has served in multiple different areas, including financial aid at Columbia and some other institutions. So that went really well. I will continue to kind of think about financial outreach activities for our high school counselors whenever they give me feedback for that. But that was hosted on November 15th. We do have our last trauma and crisis specialist work group coming up on December 14th, which is wild to me because we started this back in June. So we are almost at the end of that. And it went so well that participants are actually interested in joining another work group. So I'm going to be doing it again. Registration is open. I posted the link to the MSCA event on the agenda, so please feel free to register. We already have, about 13 or 14 last time I looked. Yeah, 13 last time I looked, and spaces are limited. So, if you're interested, please don't hesitate to ask me questions or, check out the email I had sent out, or the event itself has some information too. In terms of, I was just checking the chat, good turnout for the FAFSA group. Yeah, we had 20 people who signed up. I think we had about 12 school counselors who joined. And then I had some other folks who had asked, like they said they couldn't make it and wanted the information after the fact. So I was able to share that. My only difficulty there was just not being able to record. That was something that I definitely wanted to be able to do. So that's something I think I will follow up with Nikki offline about, of potentially trying to use, if we have a MSCA account or something like that, to do a Zoom recording, especially for my upcoming webinars. I do see a hand, so I want to pause before I move on.
I just wanted to put a plug in for anyone that's interested in joining us in this work group, because I was one of the participants in Marion's group, and it was just really, if you've signed up for any of these ASCA trainings and you know that it's hard to be accountable to actually getting it done, we did some really great work together, had some amazing conversations, made great relationships, but it really was the accountability of knowing okay, I've paid for this thing, or even the DEI one, which was free, that's all been sitting in our boxes that we just never did it. So going through and doing the quizzes together and having such rich conversation, it was really, really worth it, which is why we begged Marion to do another one. So if you've thought about doing any of the ASCA trainings, this is definitely the way to go.
Thank you. I love that personal testimony. Yeah, no, and folks, I mean, if for anyone who's on the fence about kind of taking another thing on, if you will, it's once a month. I do break down the readings, so it's pretty manageable. I think it was an average of about 8 hours worth of reading each month, which isn't too bad for most folks, I would say. Of course, we give a lot of grace. If you're not able to attend every meeting, that's okay. We give a quick recap of what we did. I send out reminders for every meeting and everything like that. So it's a very chill group, very, as Siamata had said, very just kind of, I wanted to create that familial feel. And I think that, hopefully that was accomplished. So Ali, in terms of 13 registrants, I said that about 30 folks is what we're looking for. So that way we have a smaller group for discussion and things like that. If we end up getting a little bit more, there is a wait list. So I'm more than happy to kind of assess at that time. I just want to make sure that I'm not, making the group too big for discussion and things like that. Meetings are 7 to 8:30, though, some of our groups have been a little bit smaller, so we have been able to end a little bit earlier. But the gist is, we do a quick welcome activity. We go over the readings, if anyone had any thoughts about them specifically, as well as, how are you going to take this back to your school, right? We want to think about our students and our families, like how are we going to actually use this training to support them and not just kind of put it in our toolbox and forget about it. And then we take the quizzes to, obviously get those done so we can get that certificate at the end. But again, 7 to 8:30. And again, all this information is in that event. So definitely take a look. If you have questions, I will put my MSCA email in the chat. And it looks like it's in the agenda, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So there for you. And remember, folks, while this is an ASCA, this is an ASCA specialist training, but this MSCA work group has no affiliation with ASCA, apart from just them giving us the information, if you will. But they do give, 50 contact hours for this training. So, that is something to keep in mind if you are looking to kind of get more, information for your own certification and things like that, that can go towards that. Great, Maureen, excellent. Like I said, so yes, we will be starting January 11th, and the deadline to register for our MSCA work group, again, at that link that is blue linked on the screen, that is December 13th, because I want to be able to get all the readings out to those who signed up, so we can have about a month to read before Jan. I'm also in contact with an individual from MSDE. Originally, she had said that we would be able to, co-host a webinar. I was really looking forward to it, but then she had told me that she needed to check in with the superintendent to see if she could in fact do it. So, we're at a little bit of a pause right now, waiting to hear if she can in fact, get permission to co-host this webinar. So event days TBD, but I do think it should go through, and I'm looking forward to that, since that's something that a lot of folks have expressed interest in. And I'm looking to get CU credit for that as well, once that is established. So keep an eye on your emails. I will make sure to email out to all folks once that webinar is in fact put in place. But again, that's going to be on recertification with Danielle from MSDE. I'm also looking to do a webinar with Charlene Bailey. She is in a group going to college, but she's also a representative from the Potomac and Chesapeake College Admissions Counseling Conference. Thank you, Nikki, for that connection. And I'm hoping to put together what do you wish we as high school counselors knew, right? Speaking to admissions counselors for them to kind of give their perspective and things like that. So again, that's also TBD. Charlene is checking in with some of her colleagues, so I'm waiting to hear back from her. And then lastly, As you all know, I am part of the Financial Assistance Advisory Council, FAC, with MSDE. So that is a monthly meeting that I go to get updates and of course give feedback and our thoughts on behalf of MSCA. Most recently, I have been reviewing county plans for Carroll County regarding their plans for financial aid outreach. And that is in accordance with the bill that I referenced there. All counties had to submit a plan to FAC, which then goes to MSDE, State Assembly, things like that, of essentially how are they going to give financial outreach to their students, especially those populations who often don't get that instruction, like our homeless populations, foster care, things like that. If anyone has any questions, I'm all ears, but otherwise, thank you for listening to my long spiel. And I will put my email in the chat.
Thank you so much, Marion. No, we appreciate this. Is really helpful information. And I think it is, what we need to hear, in terms of the work. And you can see as school counselors, this is all over that, school counselors are in different places. So, having Marion at the table for that council is so significant because she's bringing up things where they're like, oh, we didn't realize as school counselors, when you put this in place, this impacts somebody in the building. That person is usually the school counselor. So thank you.
Yes, I think the thing that I'm like proudest of at this point is, in that bill that did go to the state Senate, unfortunately the law has already been enacted, in which, we are kind of given more work, but I think I'm especially proud of the fact that the language that went back to the Senate, did say that school counselors can't do this work that you have mandated us to do if you have things like 504 and SST and things like that. So that is in legal documents that went back to the Senate. So that's the kind of work that I'm aiming to do, and just continue to please check in with me if you have any thoughts. I'm happy to pass it on to the Financial Aid Assistance Council.
That is exactly it. It keeps on going back to that, but it's just because I'm seeing, you see so much how significant the work, the law legislators really do impact our day-to-day life. Like they really do. Because once the law is in place, it takes forever to get it done. So you want to try and address it before it even becomes a law while it's a bill. But thank you so much. And then also with PACAC, and actually we got the connection with PACAC because the winner of last year's the membership rally that Bill and that Marion did, the winner last year for the free conference and hotel stay was the president-elect for PACAC. So she came to our conference and she was like, oh my gosh, look at this. So that fostered this connection and this partnership. And so that worked out well. So that was great that you guys did that because she is a member, she's a school counselor, but she's really active with PACAC rather than MSCA. And so it was a great partnership and collaboration. So we're excited. All right, so thank you so much. And we don't have a report for Atia, Dr. Smith. I know that she was last time was working on the the graduate students fair or the higher fair. So I checked in with her and I'll see where things are. So any other thoughts or questions? Well, segue right into me. So moving on. We are just moving with the conference. Right now, there really isn't a lot to report with the conference. We have conference is going to be the March 19th through the 20th. The website is up and running. Early bird registration is the same, $190. We meet the second Sunday of the month and it's linked in the calendar. And we're having the recognition ceremony in there. So, so we're working on that part of it. And we just heard from the recommendation from the recognition committee. So I'll bring it to the conference committee and we'll be able to report out to tell you what that will look like, that celebration. And right now I don't have anything to report because I think the question before was, what is the cost for committee members or board members? So we don't have that. We are discussing that in our committee, and then we'll make a recommendation to the elected board in terms of what our recommendation. The real significant recommendation is for conference for all committee members that everyone will pay something this year. That is the strong recommendation. What that looks like will vary from person to person, or what that looks like will be finalized, I should say, by the the committee, which will make a recommendation. So that's probably the biggest significant change, that there won't be any free attendees. When usually, and so our general body members are like, free, what, really, people? No, typically in the past, our committee members and our conference volunteers attended at no cost. But the recommendation is that there'd be some costs. And so the conference committee is finalizing what that looks like. So there was a question earlier by someone about that. So that's what we're figuring that part out. Any questions? Oh, and the other part is we received 29 conference proposals for the conference, and that actually works well. I'm pulling up right now from Jordan, because I was talking to him. He was asking, should we open it up for further dates? And he said, with the keynote speaker breakouts, we have 20 slots. So we received 29 proposals. So I forwarded to Laura and Alexis, who are the subcommittee co-chairs for the proposals. But I think at this time, we're just going to leave it at the 29 proposals for the conference committee to review and determine from that. So out of the 29, 9 would not be selected. So that's where we stand. Any questions?
Would those 9 still submit something virtually, possibly, Kathleen? Because would we need that?
So I can give a quick update on that. And Nikki, I was going to email you because I'm not going to be at the meeting on the 13th. I have a Boy Scout thing with my kids. So I found out from MSCE that they're going to approve us for credit and I don't have to redo the application. However, and it's actually supposed to be good till 2027. They had a change in leadership with certification, and the guy that's now kind of in charge of that part is much more responsive. So like my FCPS contact like emailed, and we got an email like the same day. There also is going to be a new application for conferences, but it's not sounding like we need to fill that out this year. So credit will be approved. I think ethically, in order to get 1 credit, you have to have 15 hours of content. So based on that, I think that we continue to ask that if you're one of those 20 people, besides the keynote, because I know that's separate, that you do provide something electronically, because you can't be at 3 different sessions at the same time. So, and then I think it's a good option. We can talk about it at the committee meeting, but I think it's a good option if the speaker seems worthwhile, hey, sorry, we can't have you present at the conference, but we do have something virtually going on.
Yeah, I think that's what we can talk about that. But I think 20 gives us actually, because each one of those is a 50-minute. So 20 gives us the 15-hour more than.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're good. But if there's a good one that we didn't accept because of timing, we might want to ask them. So, but we'll find out.
It's always nice to keep that for next year too, like on the opposite end. But yes, okay. I just wanted to make sure we had enough.
And we are meeting on, as Kathleen said, the second Tuesday of the month. So November the 13th at 7 p.m. And then National School Counseling Week is coming upon us. So as we talked about, I was saying with the lobbyists, we are looking to really ramp up and be much more focused on, not that we don't want to celebrate school counselors, because we do, but we really want to use this as an opportunity to educate people about who we are, because that's the biggest thing that I see when I meet with these legislators. They don't know who we are, and they have, I can't stress this enough. It's really, honestly, it is, but it isn't. It is your school board, but it really isn't. Because if the legislation comes in and says you have to do X, Y, and Z, it doesn't even matter what the school board wants to think or whatever, it has to be done. We can see Loren's law, it doesn't even matter. So they just are kind of the executives of kind of implementing what the state legislator says has to happen. And a lot of times it's just a few people. It's a committee of like us, 16, 17 people that are coming up with these bills that eventually are voted on by a larger group, but it's really a small group that sets this up. So it's so important that what Holly and I are wanting to do is set up times where we are going out and meeting with state legislators virtually. A lot of it before, because now that we've moved to this virtual space, it's much more virtual setting. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we were talking about doing something in person, but talking to Robin and Robin and Scott, they were like, they're fine with doing virtual and setting up some virtual rooms and us going and popping around. So we'll talk a little bit more about that after we speak with Robin and kind of getting some ideas. They said they would connect us with some ideas to help with that portion of it. So it will, at least for this year, for us, is really kind of changing the focus, especially because we have a new administration that is very, very, very supportive of school counselors. So I can confidently say that that is something that we have a very strong partnership with the Moore Miller administration, and they are very supportive of school counselors. They know who we are. They know what we do. They want to see us win. So.
And it sounded to me, Nikki, like policy partners we're starting small, that they'll actually be able to do kind of the work of setting up the meetings and that kind of thing. So there's not a lot that we have to do. We just have to have enough people that are willing to be with us in the virtual rooms with the lawmakers.
Yeah, yes. So I've already reached out to Brian Stewart, who is our president. He is, who is he? He is the Maryland School Council of the Year. He's not the president of Maryland School Council Association. He is the Maryland School Council of the Year person. And so he is already said, yes, he's open to doing that and being available. So thinking of having him, but any school counselor, period. Like we want that. So, but we were still, so I actually also got in contact with a company that is willing to sponsor a portion of our, those $5 gift cards. So up to $2,500. So they are willing to do up to $2,500. So I'm still working it because it's the end of the year. So there might be another company that is willing to do it. They do professional development and training. So for them, they are like, okay, well, that's something. So I actually got a cold call. Maureen may have seen that email from ASCA where this person was at a brand new tutoring company that's starting out, and she called me and was like, how can we market to you? I was like, well, we have a conference and you can, you can do a vendor and sponsorship. And then I was like, well, we have the Maryland School Council of the Year. I mean, not year of Maryland School Counseling Week. And we would love a sponsor who would be willing to sponsor. And we can put your logo on the gift card that we give out. So we'll see if they will be interested in doing the other half of it. And so then it wouldn't cost us anything. And we could give that gift to our members. So, but the real focus this year will be setting up Legislative Week, where we're going out to visit and sending and letting people know who we are and what we do. So let me know if you have any thoughts and reaching out to Holly or myself as we kind of change that. Yeah, it is amazing. I'm like, if we don't have to pay for it, I'm always thinking Zoom orders, so we don't have to pay for things. All right. Any questions? All right. Moving on. If there's none, then unfinished business. I think this was taken care of. I don't know why I kept that on there because I think Maureen, you're going to the MCA meeting, right? You have that information.
Yes, I've already been to 2, and I shared about our conference and encouraged MCA members to submit proposals for our conference, just to get some of that clinical training as well. So that's basically what I've shared in the last 2 meetings.
All right, thank you. So I think that's finished. So I think I just kept that on there. And new business. Anyone have any new business to share? New ideas, new concepts, new thoughts? And this can be general body, so you don't have to keep. Well, if there is no new business, anything for the good of the group?
Mickey, I have a question regarding our prizes from the drive.
Mhm.
For our registration, for the person that won the registration to the conference and the one that won the registration and the hotel, what directions do I give them as far as registering? Do I tell them to register, don't pay, or just we'll take care of it?
We'll take care of it. Yeah. So
Okay.
just if you forward me their name, just tell them to please. No, last year was a lot of, it was like, is it going to happen? And we're going to be, I'm like, all we need is their name and email address. Right. We will take care of it. So they don't have to worry about putting a credit card on hold or anything like that. And those who you should know for the conference, because we're renting out and spending so much money, we get comped a room, and typically that comp room is usually given to me or the committee chair. And that's where I'm passing that on to person. Because I just feel that if I'm asking you guys to pay for a room and stay over, then I'm gonna pay. That's just makes sense to me. So yeah, so that's just how, so rather than putting my name, they would put whoever we designated and say this person. And they
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there isn't anything, my goodness gracious, Laura will be proud of me. We're proud of us, but Laura is our next general body meeting is Saturday, March 4th, which is right before the conference. So it may not, so enjoy today because that one before is going to be a whole different world. So.
Can I just put in my 2 cents, Nikki? I know this isn't typical format, but I really liked this format because I like the committees going first because I feel like they do affect more of the general body. But I liked this format. I thought it went very smoothly. Just my 2 cents.
No, I think so. We can definitely do this. No, so who's Robert? We need to follow his rules. But yeah, I think so. I like it. But well, thank you so much. And enjoy this time. It's a little nasty out today. So hopefully drink a hot cocoa and relax for a little bit. And
don't go anywhere. Nobody go anywhere. If you want your screens on, otherwise smile. I'm going to take one more picture for social media. So everybody go ahead and give me a second.
Karen, just put your hat on. I don't know if you want to. You look pretty either way.
Okay, I'm supposed to wait. She's getting her hat. Everybody give her a second.
Can I get the
I'll fix my
logo?
hair in the meantime.
Yes.
Yes.
Get your gear. Show.
Yeah,
I know. I like your badge, Nikki. It looks nice in the thing.
yeah, but it's like
Can y'all see my shirt?
No.
Yeah.
Yes. We're all rocking the logos. All right. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And Happy New Year, because I won't see you until some of you
That's
until the
right.
New Year. So Happy New Year.
Happy
Nikki,
New
we're not
Year.
meeting Monday.
We're not meeting Monday elected board. Remember, we voted on that. So we will meet in January. So, but email, of course, we'll be emailing. So
Sounds good.
thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.